to give you an update on the Festival of Lights. As you can imagine, and we've made some changes here, implementing an advanced ticketing system. And as you can imagine, anytime you try to make public habit changes that they've been used to for over 30 years, there's going to be some challenges associated with that. So let me just kind of give you an update. From our opinion, first of all, this is very successful. It has some hitches and some glitches and some challenges and some frustrations, but we're responding to those as we move along. We pre-sold about 300 tickets on Thanksgiving night. So our whole purpose for this, obviously, and if you've been involved in Festival of Lights for very long, you know, we've had years where we've been backed up to the fire station up on Canyon Road is where the line has been. So we're implementing this not to frustrate people, but to have them hopefully have an opportunity to expedite this process quicker so that they're not having to wait in line for 2 hours to get in to see the Festival of Lights. We're tracking the data so that we can make changes as necessary. But each time slot is like a half-hour window. So 6 o'clock is our most popular hour right now based on the data. 7 o'clock's our second most popular hour, and 6:30 is third. So as we track this data, it helps us know kind of what to plan for. The challenge we're having is that about a fifth of these customers aren't coming with tickets. They're just going to the box office. They're paying the price we're asking at the box office. So that's one challenge that we've encountered. We haven't had any nights sold out yet, but that's going to happen. Our busiest nights are this weekend, this coming weekend, and the next weekend. And Monday night, they're going to be really busy, and we're going to have some sold-out nights. And so to accommodate those people who have pre-bought tickets, we're going to have to start turning some people away at the box office so that we can make sure those people get in. One of the challenges we're having, there was some misunderstood or misconceptions, and you may or may not have seen them on social media, but if they had a pass, they thought they had a lightning pass at Disneyland. So we could just go right to the front of the line and get in. And apologize for however that misconception came about, but that's not how this process works. So we had some people butting in line and making people frustrated and angry that other people are butting in line thinking they have this special lightning pass. The pass is made for you to come in this window of time so that you come in, get in line like everybody else during this time, and you'll get through the Festival of Lights within your time slot, assuming that everybody's cooperating, right? But like I said, we do have a bunch of people just out of habit are still coming. They haven't pre-purchased a ticket, so they just go right to the box office and pay. So that's bogging things down a little bit. Our largest night so far this year was last Saturday, December 7th. We had 784 cars. Now, that doesn't mean anything to you unless you're out working this stuff and you know what number is going to back you clear up to Canyon Road. That night, we never went up to 3400 East. So we never got off of River Bottoms Road with 784 cars. That's miraculous, actually. It's telling us that our system's working, that we're getting people through in a timely fashion. We're expecting to have 1,000-car nights coming up, so it's going to get tested. One of the things that we want to make sure people understand, and let me just read this to you real quick because my staff sent this out today, and this will be sent out to everybody from here on out. We're excited to see you tonight, Tuesday, December 10th, at the 32nd Annual Festival of Lights. Here's some helpful reminders, and this will tell you the challenges we've had. Plan to arrive in line at the advanced ticketing time you selected. Wait time to enter the park is an average of 15 minutes. There is one line for all vehicles. Please don't cut in line. Your receipt is not your ticket. So you can't just take the ticket. It has to have the QR code on it. It has a QR code, and you need to have the ticket or the QR code ready to scan upon the entrance into the park. and enlarge that QR code and hold your phone up right out the window, out your window at the booth. So they're trying to give some instructions on some feedback we've had from people, what's holding things up. But as a whole, this system's working really well, and it'll just get better and better as people get accustomed to the process. I don't know if you guys have any questions. That's just kind of a brief. Again, as we've had challenges come up, we've addressed those individually, and if it's something we need to tweak on our end, we do that. We have people there monitoring traffic. We have people there walking up and down the lines, making sure people have a ticket ahead of time so they don't wait for an hour and then be frustrated because they don't have their ticket. So we're trying to disseminate that information as good as we can so that people aren't frustrated waiting in line. What are your questions, or what have you guys seen?
I was in the Parks and Rec office yesterday, and these guys were meeting about Festival of Lights. And just to add to all of that, they said one of the biggest problems are people get to the booth to scan their QR code and then sit and ask all these questions. And they said that's actually bogging up things more than anything else, is just sitting there asking so many questions about what's going on.
Yeah.
So keep your questions for...
Get them answered somewhere else.
What questions are they asking?
Besides in line.
Like, what's the new feature
I think
tonight?
all of these things, and I think that's
Yeah.
why they decided to send this out. So hopefully it's answering their questions before they arrive.
Remember, you can always text in your questions, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, where at,
Jack or
Jesse?
someone else can respond to you at a normal time.
Yeah, and that's part of the message as well. As we said, if you have questions, call during business hours or text rather than
Right.
at the booth.
Perfect.
I mean, I don't know that we shouldn't be surprised that there are a bunch of questions. This is
Yep.
significantly
No.
different, right? The goal is to stagger the arrivals so that we can get them through so everyone just doesn't show up at 6 o'clock. And I think that sounds like it's working. It's a logistical challenge to try to implement something like this in the dark of night and cold weather, first year. I like the attempt. I think that once we're done with this year, we need to sit down and really walk through the pros and cons and what did we get. And I think that we needed to try something, don't get me wrong, and this is probably the right thing. And it more than likely gets better every single year. But it's a challenge for us as a city to implement, and it's super frustrating to sit there for 30 minutes and say, sorry, but we're going to get to that point, right? Because it's that busy and it's that important. But I like the attempt. I think that we, and I'm sure this is happening out on the ground, city staff is pretty caring about the responses they're giving the folks, because it is like you plan all this. It's sort of spontaneous at times, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I have some time. Let's go to see the Festival of Lights, and it's less spontaneous now. It needs to be, and we're to the point where it has to be. So, I think just use a whole bunch of caution with the conversations that we have,
Yep.
and don't assume that we have gotten the word out to every single person, because it's just impossible for that to happen.
Yeah, that's been kind of a guide for us. It's been momentarily rough. You know, some conversations. There are some people that will take it out on our staff, just because. But those have been the minority, right, Dale? They've been.
Yeah,
there
for
have
sure.
been some. Yeah, but they are really doing what they can to educate. We're not waiting, though, until the end. These guys have been, every week, they've been dissecting the data. They've been tweaking what they've been doing. And from, I guess I'd say maybe, tonight, December 12th, or December 10th, versus Thanksgiving night, we're probably, 50% better efficiency-wise. And
Awesome.
that's important because we haven't had anything really hard yet. And we know that's coming. There's going to be a bad night, and for all the reasons that you've outlined, but we've gotten a lot better with everything that we've done so far. I'm really pleased with where they're headed. Bronco and Emily and Janice have been probably some of the main ones on the rec side. The SF City Ticks folks have done a lot too.
Yeah, and they meet every Monday morning. And do a debrief.
Yep.
So those changes are being made. I guess we're asking for, this is a huge change.
Just be patient.
If you'll be
Yep.
patient
Absolutely.
with us, we are making changes on the fly.
It's sort of ironic that you're going there to be to have some joy and see some lights, and you get upset if you can't get into it immediately. So have some patience. You're going to see some lights.
Merry Christmas.
Del, two questions. One is, do we know what the percentage of no-shows, like someone who makes an appointment and doesn't show up? And then if that happens to me, so I make an appointment, something happens, life happens, and I can't make it, what are we doing to right that, or how can they reschedule?
Yeah, if they'll just get a hold of our rec office, we can make those adjustments. Again, these are all tweaks, and we've got a dozen more of those types of scenarios of what do I do, what if. We're trying to make this as painless as possible of a transition, and we have a lot of people that come from all over the state to come to this. So Shane's right; it's not easy to reach everybody and let everybody know that this is our process, which is why we're allowing people to come in and pay at the gate still. We don't want to punish those people that are following our process, because eventually we want to transition everybody into that. And at some point, we're going to have to draw a hard line, and it's coming up shortly. Because if we've sold all those tickets and we don't have any more room, we don't want to make those people wait in line longer than they need to, because we're accommodating all the people that chose not to buy tickets ahead of time. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but it's working well. It's got some frustrations associated with it, as does any change that's this major. But we're working through it, and it's working.
This data has been really enlightening, and it'll give us the opportunity. One of the things to talk about will be prices, different prices at different times. If I want to shave off that curve, I'm going to entice you to come maybe at the 9 o'clock hour, and I don't want to go at 9, but if I do, maybe that's cheaper, right? And some different things. All of that'll come, in the off season. But the data has been excellent for our people as they're studying it, and they've got all sorts of ideas for next year already.
Yeah, it's really. And I don't know that I answered your question, Councilman Cardin, but we do have all of this data that we are studying, and then that makes this ticketing system very helpful for us, because we can look at the trends. We can see if we've got how many people actually came through with tickets, and how many were box office tickets, and who didn't come. And we can look at those trends and then act accordingly.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
We're pretty close to tubing. That adds another element. We have people coming up.
We
to the
are.
same area.
They started making snow today, so they're a little bit behind time. I don't know why yet. I haven't visited with that group, but they have started making snow, so they're for sure going to be open by Christmas. That's what they're shooting for.
In a couple of weeks, everybody that's in line, just be aware the person that you may think is cutting in line,
butting in line,
might be going tubing, and so let's keep the holiday cheer.
Yeah, good point.
To all fingers waving, not just one finger.
Yes, thank you for that
Any other
reminder.
Questions for Dale?
No.
Staff on that? Okay. Thank you, Dale. Appreciate that.